So I'm interested if the war continues. So first of all, what are plantings like that as far in as much as we know in Russia and in Ukraine for this summer on those kind of commodity row crops? And if the war continues for another year, another couple of years, what will that impact be in those really hard hit, South Sudan, et cetera, those kinds of parts of the world?
So plantings in Ukraine are down by about a third overall. It's a combination of factors. Some of it is that the land, it's in the east of the country, but a big part of the breadbasket is in the east of the country where it's either um, literally in the midst of conflict or very close to the front line. So farmers have been incredibly brave. They've donned flak jackets and driven their tractors through fields that may or may not be mined. They've taken enormous personal risk to continue planting. But we are seeing that some of those fields are out of production because they're in conflict areas. Farmers have also suffered in Ukraine because they've not, prices have gone up for them, their inputs for seeds and fertilizer. We haven't even talked about fertilizer. That's another piece of this, that Russia is a huge fertilizer exporter, as is Belarus, which even prior to the war, because of activities that they had been doing, downing a plane with a journalist on it. I mean, real just atrocious political obstacles that they placed in the way of anybody speaking out in Belarus had been under sanctions by the Europeans. So you've already seen a challenge in terms of some of the big fertilizer producers that has flowed across the world as an input to having productive crops. And so Ukrainian farmers are not immune from that. You've seen them struggle to purchase the seeds and the fertilizer that they need. So you've had a reduction in acreages planted. You've had less crops planted in some respects. And then, of course, you've had the enormous struggle for the Ukrainians to get their grain out of the country. Traditionally, it has been exported through the Black Sea on big ships, and Russia then blocked that as an export route. For 5 months, there were no grain exports coming out of the Black Sea. And that was a big shock to the system. You saw food prices really spike because of that. With the Black Sea Grain Initiative that came into place in August of last year, you did begin to see grain exports again from Ukraine through the Black Sea. And that was a huge help. But Russia continues to throw up obstacles every day on that Black Sea Grain Initiative, threatening to cancel it, just putting a lot of bureaucratic impediments in the way so that they can't process the ships coming in and out. The month of May was the lowest amount of grains that have gotten out through the Black Sea since the initiative started. It was only just a little over 1 million tons, whereas back in October, it was 4.2 million tons. So one of the biggest issues is just when they are harvesting their crops, which is right now, they're right in the process of harvesting their spring crop, is being able to export it. And they have been able to export a bit overland through the Danube and barges through that route, and overland through Poland to other ports. But it's just not nearly as efficient and effective as going out through the Black Sea.